been sold the idea that financial independence is all about some number on your account statement, or even worse, that you don't qualify because of where you started out. That's just not true. It's not about some well-kept secret of the wealthy. It's about finding the right information and knowing how to apply it. On the Get Ready for the Future show, we're answering your questions so you can start making real financial change today. The journey to true financial independence begins right here, and it starts with you.
Hey, from the 6th floor of 3 Financial Center in West Little Rock, Arkansas, welcome into another edition of the Get Ready for the Future show, continuing our mission of helping people discover, protect, and share true financial independence. My name is Scott Inman. John Shrewsbury, one of the co-founders of GenWealth Financial Advisors, in the other chair today. And we have a special day on the Get Ready for the Future show.
Yeah.
We are going to be talking about our upcoming Built to Endure event. It is a business owners summit. Now, we haven't done one of these before. We've done workshops for years, but this one is going to be catered and tailored to business owners, John.
Yes, it is. And we are going all out to try to communicate the things that you need to win as a business owner. Look, you may say, well, what do the people at GenWealth know about running a business? Oh, we have 20 years of running a business. We manage about 50 plus people on our team, have 6 offices across the state of Arkansas and Louisiana. It's a big operation. And so we're going to share some things. Myself and my partner, Janet Walker, are going to share some things. We've got a special guest coming in to see us, Houston Nutt. And you may say, what the heck does Houston Nutt know about business? But I think that, Scott, you well know my affinity for sports and crossing over into business, that there's so many things that are common to the sports world that really do apply in business. One of them is working with a team.
Yeah. Houston Nutt was, of course, the head coach for the Razorbacks, late 90s into the early 2000s. And the team concept, that's where I was going when you said that, because he managed a team. He motivated a team. He ran the team, and he led the team to new heights and when he came in. So I would say that definitely translates into business.
He led that team to some great highs and some big lows, and through a lot of adversity too. If you remember, Brandon Burlsworth was killed on Houston Nutt's watch in the traffic accident. That had to be a devastating thing to that team, and somehow they rallied back and performed really well the next year. So Houston is going to come and share with us, and then we have got another guest that is coming as well that is actually here today on the show.
Yeah, so without further ado, let's welcome in Kaleigh Marsh, a benefits specialist with Gallagher, who is all the way on the other side of the room in Studio B, as we affectionately call it. Good morning, Kaleigh.
Hello, good morning.
Yeah, we thank you for being with us today. So we're excited about the association with you as we get ready for the Business Owners Summit, Built to Endure. But as we talk with you this morning, let's talk about the role of benefits, your role as a benefit specialist, the role of benefits for an employer. So we all know it's a competitive advantage to have great benefits as an employer, but it sure seems like having those benefits has gone from just an advantage to really a table stakes game for most industries. Is that right?
You're absolutely right. I think there's a couple of things I would want to say about that. First of all, it's most important to look at the data available to employer groups. At Gallagher, we have one of the largest national benchmarking surveys available for employer groups specifically. That's essentially reaching out to our clients and prospects and gathering information about their employee benefits plans so that we have true actionable data to supply back to those employer groups so that they can understand what is really valuable in their benefits package. So you have a couple of different business segments that I think are important to think about. When you are a large employer, 51 plus employees, a large applicable employer, you're required to offer benefits. So when you think about your competition in that market segment, it's not really a conversation of are we offering or are we not offering. They have to offer. It's not an option. What you need to think about from a benchmarking and data perspective is, are you offering the correct benefits to your employee population, for your organization, for your industry type? You don't necessarily need or want the richest plan design available from any particular carrier in the market. You want what's appropriate for your organization, for your people strategy. And that's why you really need a strong people partner. Secondarily, you want somebody who's going to use that data and harness that data to help you be proactive in your benefits decision making. So you don't want to be analyzing your renewal once a year and just reacting to whatever increase that might be. You want to be proactive, you want to be strategic and plan year over year so that you can have longevity to your benefits and employee well-being.
Kaleigh, as a small business owner, I've been through this period of time in our growth at GenWealth where benefits kind of equaled headaches, complexity, and cost. And really, it's way more than that. And how does a business owner kind of navigate that? If that's kind of their mindset about benefits, how does a business owner navigate around those things and successfully get a good benefits package?
Absolutely. Great question. I think that a couple of things as well. So first of all, picking the correct partner to help you be strategic is so important. You want somebody who is staying knowledgeable in the market, being advised on alternative health designs, because healthcare is one of our most expensive line items as a business owner. It's typically second to payroll. And so you want to make sure that you're being wise with your choices. And I would also say that it's not as complicated as you might think. So in the employee benefit space, a lot of times employers don't realize that you can offer more than one plan. You only have to pay 50% of that employee-only premium, and that can be based off of your lowest price plan. If you're a small employer in the 2 to 50 live space, you also do not have to make that plan affordable to those government standards, which can help make things a little bit more affordable to you as the employer. You only need 25% participation from your eligible employee population, so that's employees working 30 or more hours a week. And when you think about specifically for small business owners, the cost of individual health care these days is only getting more and more expensive every year, and the benefits are getting less and less rich as those rates go up. So frequently business owners can choose to offer plans for their business instead, for their employees as well, and it be much more affordable than they might expect.
It's always beneficial to have a partner to work with when you're dealing with something that in most cases is outside of the wheelhouse of business owners, because they're concentrating on growing their business and keeping their business profitable. So as we're talking with Kaleigh Marsh, a benefit specialist with Gallagher, and she's going to be joining us for the Built to Endure Business Owners Summit. It's coming up Saturday, October 4th at the Delta Hotel in Little Rock. We've already talked about our keynote speaker, former Razorback football head coach Houston Nutt. Kaleigh's going to be there to talk as well. And as we let you go, Kaleigh, before we do, why should, in your opinion, Central Arkansas business owners who may be listening to our show today take the time to attend Built to Endure?
Absolutely. I think that we're going to have something for everyone, right? A lot of times whenever you're thinking about a conference to attend, it's because you have a specific need that you're already aware of and you're going to learn something about that. With the panel of speakers that we have at Built to Endure, I think that we're going to have something for everybody, whether they are a new business owner or somebody who's had their business for 50 years, whether they're somebody already offering benefits, already have what they might consider to be financial well-being, or somebody who's just stepping into this world. There's always more information to learn and grow so that you can face that future with confidence.
Well, Kaleigh, we sure appreciate the time that you gave us here today on the Get Ready for the Future show, and we look forward to seeing you on October 4th.
Thank you so much.
Scott, let's hit how people register for Built to Endure. You just go to our website, getreadyforthefuture.com/endure, ENDURE, and that is all you need. You can go there, register, have the agenda, you see what's going on. There's going to be breakfast that morning. We're really going all out to try to make this a special event, something that we want to do every year for business owners, because business owners are the lifeblood of the economy, especially in Central Arkansas. Small business owners really do a great job of that, and we want to have an event every year that they can come and grow and learn.
Yeah, and as we kind of start to transition into our questions today, I will say too that we have questions from business owners. We kind of tailored today's show not only to have Kaleigh on to talk about benefits and to promote our Business Owners Summit coming up on October 4th, but really the questions today are going to be coming from business owners as well. And I want to kind of use the jumping off point here as we get into those. Something I said to Kaleigh there, that oftentimes business owners, rightfully so, especially small as business owners who likely, like you and Janet, started it from scratch. Yeah. They are the company. It is like a family member to them, right?
Right.
So your love, your blood, sweat, and tears is always focused on the business and not always yourself, right? And I think these questions are going to be based on, hey, these business owners have to have an exit strategy. They've got to retire someday. They've got to potentially sell their business someday. And I'm not sure that's something that business owners think about on a day in and day basis.
I can tell you business owners every day wake up and go, what's on the agenda today?
Right.
What is it that I have to do to keep the doors open? What is it that I have to do to be sure that my employees are taken care of? It's the weight of the world is on a business owner. And we think that there is a lot of education that can help to ease some of that weight that you may have. And that's why we have structured Built to Endure like we did. We're very fortunate to have Houston Nutt, who's going to bring a dynamic speech. It's not just going to be rah-rah. He's going to get into the weeds about how he motivated his team, how he managed his team. If you think about it, can you think of a more diverse group of people than a bunch of athletes that you've got to manage a lot of egos and things of that nature? Mm-hmm. There's a lot there that I think the coach is going to be able to bring to us that is going to be highly beneficial for those business owners on October 4th at the Delta Hotel here in Little Rock.
And we'll tell you again before the show's over, but you can register at getreadyforthefuture.com/endure. So just go to our website, getreadyforthefuture.com/endure to reserve your spot. I know Saturday, October 4th sounds like it might still be a long way off, but it will be here before you know it, and space is limited. Seating is limited, so get in and reserve your spot today. All right, so let's dive into our questions from business owners today on the Get Ready for the Future show. First up, it's Greg from Benton. I'm 51 and run a consulting business with just me and one part-time assistant. I already max out my Roth IRA, and my SEP IRA contributions vary based on income. I'd like to save more consistently. Should I switch to a solo 401k or consider taxable investments for more flexibility? Great question, Greg. You're self-employed, saving well, and want to level up. But with so many account options, and you threw them out there, SEP, solo 401k, brokerage, which one actually fits your goals? So we're breaking down what every solo business owner needs to know. So the first thing that stands out here is it's just you and one part-time assistant, and that's probably why you chose the SEP IRA. If you're self-employed with one part-time employee, I think the SEP certainly has worked to your benefit, but the consistent part of your question there is where it maybe starts to make sense to consider something else, because consistency is tough when income is variable and you're capped more significantly because the contribution is set relative to your income. And for those listening out there, the SEP IRA max contribution is 25% of employee compensation made from the employer side. So the contribution comes from the employer, but it's based on 25% of employee compensation. So if you're both the employer and the employee, your annual income is how you're going to be capped. And it usually ends up being less than 25% because of deductions to your income as well. Now, the max contribution here, John, is $70,000. That sounds great, but you'd have to pay yourself $300,000 about in annual income to reach it. So the solo 401k works a little differently.
Yeah, the solo 401k offers more consistency because the contribution limit is a set amount. In 2025, it's $23,500 for everyone. And there is a $7,500 catch-up provision. So you can put extra in if you are age 50 and older. And I think that even graduates up as you get older now under the new law that they just passed not long ago. It's 25% of compensation. And again, up to $70,000. You can contribute monthly more easily than you can in a SEP. You can do it in a SEP, but you might go over. And so it's a lot easier to do it in a solo 401k. Scott, I would also tell you that in my experience, if you are a very highly compensated person, if you make a lot of money in your self-employed business and have this part-time employee, you might also take a look at a defined benefit plan. A defined benefit plan gives you the maximum that you can contribute to a retirement program. And those things are great if you have big time consistent income. I would say, if your cash flow is $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 a year as far as your income is concerned, then that makes sense to begin looking at a defined benefit plan because it gives advantages above a 401k. And you can also do a combination profit sharing and defined benefit plan. You can get real complex with it, but the key here is it is complex. You need to work with an advisor to be sure you understand all the ins and outs.
Yeah, so pensions are not just for corporations and public entities, right? You can create one for yourself in that defined benefit plan if you are a high income earner. The complications there, make sure you enter into that with probably an attorney and a trusted financial advisor as well. So a couple other notes on this, defining the differences between the solo 401k and the SEP IRA. Some solo 401ks can now offer Roth options for the employee deferral side. SEP IRAs have to be pre-tax because they are coming from the employer side. So that's one thing to consider. You're already maxing out your Roth, Greg is, but getting some tax-free income in retirement is always a good thing. And the SEP IRA is completely self-directed. A solo 401k can be too, but it does require third-party reporting. So that does add a small layer of additional fees that you wouldn't have. So if you're thinking about jumping into the solo 401k route, know that. But it's usually just a few $100s a year for that reporting to take place from a third party. Now, the other part of the question here from Greg said, should I switch to a solo 401k or consider taxable investments for more flexibility? Now, taxable investments would provide more flexibility if you're talking about access to them, because both the SEP and the solo 401k, you're going to need to wait to make withdrawals until you're 59 and a half. Otherwise, you're going to incur the 10% early withdrawal penalty, which you don't want to. But if you're talking about flexibility with investment options, I think it's important to point out there really would be no difference. You should have, with a self-directed SEP IRA or a self-directed solo 401k, the same type of investment options you would from a taxable standpoint.
If you keep the money in those investments, you're correct. If you are going into a taxable investment and you say you want to rebalance or you want to switch investments, then you're exposing yourself to potential short or long-term capital gain taxes, and you would pay taxes on any dividends that those investments create. So the tax thing begins to ramp up, and that for some people, they can handle that just fine because their income is not all that high. But if you are looking at, a decent income, then you're just going to layer on additional taxable income to you that you've got to deal with down the road, and that could have some negative consequence.
Yeah, we didn't even mention that from a business owner standpoint. You have tax deferral, but you also have tax deductions now, right? There's a tax advantage to creating those accounts for you now, and it allows you to get assets built up for your retirement. And I do think there is a standpoint. I mean, I don't know what kind of business owner Greg is, but if it's the driven one that we're talking about generally on this show, John, it could be really tempting if you know you're not going to get penalized to dip into that piggy bank to do it, right? I'm a big believer in putting it into instruments that you'll keep, as I call it, this is what I say to me, keep my grubby little hands off of it until I retire.
Yeah, you've got to do that because that is the whole game. That is the whole idea of doing this. I know that the government has made it increasingly easier to have access to your 401k plan. Folks, if I can tell you one thing on this show to resonate with you for your own benefit is leave your retirement accounts alone if at all possible. I see people take vacations on 401k loans. I see people do really dumb things when it comes to robbing from their future, because that's exactly what you're doing when you're taking money today and spending it on something as opposed to leaving it and letting it grow for your retirement, because what you're really doing is you're really jeopardizing your shot at financial independence.
Answering questions today on the Get Ready for the Future show from business owners as we ramp up for Built to Endure, our Business Owners Summit coming up Saturday, October 4th at the Delta Hotel in Little Rock, featuring keynote speaker and former Razorback football coach Houston Nutt. We invite you to register by going to getreadyforthefuture.com. proprietorship.com/endure. If you're a business owner, you're going to hear from Houston Nutt. You're going to hear from John and Janet on building an enduring business, building a legacy. You're going to hear from Kaleigh, who you just heard from earlier in this show, a benefits expert and specialist. So make plans to attend that now. Built to Endure, Saturday, October 4th at the Delta Hotel in Little Rock. Get ready for the future.com/endure to sign up.
And I'll make this commitment. We are going to take your questions. We may not have every answer right off the tip of our tongue, but we're going to take your questions. We're going to get that information to you because we believe, just like in our own personal finance realm, we believe that if you're an educated business owner, you're going to be a better business owner, and we want to help you with Built to Endure.
Nathaniel via text message is our next question. I'm 58 and own a small service company with 12 employees. I'd like to retire around 65, but I do not have a formal succession plan or buyer lined up. What steps should I take now to transition out without leaving value on the table? You built the business, but can it run without you? If you're a business owner approaching retirement, a strong exit plan could mean the difference between cashing out and closing the doors. And certainly you don't want to do that with all the blood, sweat, and tears you've left in it, Nathaniel. Oftentimes the small business owner is the value, right? Maybe it's your clients that are connected to you, and there is probably a fear for a buyer potentially that they won't still have those clients or customers if they come in and become the business owner. So I think a business valuation is really the first step for Nathaniel.
You've got to have an idea of what your business is worth. Now, there's a lot of different roads that you can go down. And this is, I know all about this because this is very prevalent conversation in the financial industry right now. Private equity has come in and bought up a lot of independent financial advisors across the country. We're not doing that at GenWealth because we believe in internal succession here. We believe that that is probably the easiest and best way to go because it doesn't upheave everything. I was just talking with someone, Scott, that they work at a place in Central Arkansas that just got bought by a California firm, and they're changing everything. As a matter of fact, this person's job is being eliminated, and they're sending it overseas because it's a customer service job, and they can send that overseas and probably pay a lot less money for that. And so those are things that are going on all day, every day in the marketplace. Here is what I would say to you if you're a business owner. You need to decide what you are comfortable with. Oftentimes, you build great relationships with your clients, and you do not want to just throw them to anybody with a check. And so when you are thinking about this, one of the things that I think is a great way to handle this is at 58, begin mentoring someone on your team, someone who has the wherewithal, someone who has the ability to run the place. They just haven't had that opportunity. That's a great opportunity for you to pour into that person and have some sort of arrangement with them where they can pay you out over time. That is a great way to transition a small business, keep that business intact, keep that business making money. You can be a recipient of the benefit of that for a long period of time. I'm not a big fan of getting somebody to go into big amounts of debt just to be able to buy your business necessarily. There's a lot there that I think really kind of leaves things up in the air. It's hard to walk away from a business, Scott, when you put the time into it and you put the effort into it, and when you don't have a ready buyer for that business. But here's what I also know. If people know the business is for sale, it would be surprising for you to find out who might be interested in that business.
Yeah, I can remember when I left the television news industry, and I knew that I wanted to do that, but it did dawn on me one day I was going to have to start telling people, the certain people, right? Not everybody, but I was going to have to start telling people that I was going to get out, or no one was going to even remotely think that I wanted to leave, right?
Right.
So the same goes for a business owner like Nathaniel. You may have to circulate that out there a little bit, that you are looking for an exit strategy, because people may have no idea that you are. And if he says he's going to retire or would like to retire around 65, I think it's worth asking the question, especially as financial advisors, what kind of retirement savings do you currently have? Do you have a retirement plan established for your company? You know, we just talked about the benefits of that in the previous question. We talked about the SEP IRA. We talked about the solo 401k, but with 12 employees, he might consider a simple IRA.
Yeah, there's a lot of flexibility with a simple IRA. That's what we have here at GenWealth is a simple IRA account. It limits the amount that a business owner is obligated to pay. It is a match contribution, dollar for dollar match up to 3% of salary. So very easy math. Take your total wage base, take your total salaries, multiply it by 3%, and if everyone contributed 3% of their salary, that's the max that you would have to contribute to the plan yourself, which is 3%. Here's a dirty little secret. Not everybody's going to contribute. Not everybody that works at GenWealth contributes to the GenWealth simple IRA account. They should, but they choose for whatever reason not to do that. And so we're not obligated to match that contribution or any contribution. If they're not putting in, the employer doesn't have to put in as well. And then it is up to the employee what they do beyond that 3% contribution. They can go up to, I believe it's around $14,000-$15,000 these days, Scott, that the employee can put in on their behalf, but it has no consequence as far as the employer. Now, the employer has the ability to contribute for themselves and to have the business match their contributions 3% as well in a simple IRA format.
Yeah, the 2025 limit is $16,500. If you're 50 and over, the catch-up gets you up to $20,000. So over 7 years for Nathaniel personally, that could make a difference, but it could also speak to employee retention, which could make your business potentially more valuable too. The data does suggest that if the benefit package is right, then employees are going to stay and they're going to be happier. You could even look at an HSA, which is definitely in Kaleigh's department. She can talk about that at the upcoming Business Owners Summit, but that would also be a thing for Nathaniel being 7 years out from potentially retiring to build up some invested assets in a health savings account, which would give him a tax deduction now with the contribution and then be tax-free if withdrawn for qualifying health care expenses. Thanks for the question, Nathaniel. We're going to name it the question of the week, and we would love to send you a Get Ready for the Future show tumbler, just like the one on our desk here if you're watching on our live stream video version of the Get Ready for the Future show. We just need you to send us an email, Nathaniel. Send it to getreadyshow@getreadyforthefuture.com and claim it. Our last question on today's show is from Tony and Maumelle. My wife and I are both 55 and run a family business together. Most of our net worth is tied up in the business, and we've fallen behind on personal retirement savings. How do we balance reinvesting in the business with securing our own future? When your business is your nest egg, it is easy to delay saving for yourself, but what happens if the business can't fund your retirement? We're going to talk about balancing growth today with freedom tomorrow when it comes to true financial independence. And I can't read that question, John, without thinking about my dad.
Yeah.
My dad was self-employed as far back as I can remember, and this sounds like him. Every bit of profit he had, he used it to reinvest in his business to make it grow. He was intensely focused on the current situation. We referred to that already in this show, and not always on his retirement for a long time. And I would, in fact, even say very similar to the age that Tony and his wife are at 55 years old. There are two places that cost him. Retirement assets, which Tony and his wife have already referred to here, and Social Security.
Yes.
Because he was intensely focused on the current situation, as I said, and guess what? That meant he paid himself as little as possible. He didn't want to have to pay taxes, right? The income side of that he paid Social Security taxes on was very little. So when you think about, and we say it all the time, if you listen to our show, you know we say it all the time, retirement is essentially an income problem. Think about the situation that creates. Your guaranteed income stream from Social Security is lower than it could have been, and your income from your assets is also lower than it could have been.
Scott, when we started GenWealth way back 20 years ago, we had some advice that said, oh, look, you just pay yourself a small salary and you can keep your self-employment tax, your Social Security tax pretty low that way.
Yeah.
Well, it didn't take very long for us to figure out that was cutting our nose off in spite of our face, because we really were robbing from our future benefit from Social Security when you do that. A lot of business owners think they're somehow getting around the system, and I'm not going to throw money into that thing, that Social Security thing that's probably not going to be there for me, and all of that type of rot. That is just misguided thinking is all I can tell you. You've got to think about what the value of a lifetime in your elder years of having a Social Security check coming in. It is hundreds of thousands of dollars to your benefit. And I will tell you that Social Security, as long as the federal government has a printing press, Social Security is going to keep sending checks. It might not be at the exact same amount. And I will tell you that the other impetus is that they're going to fix Social Security, because there would be a massive, takedown of Washington from people that would be so incensed that their promise of a Social Security check didn't go through. Yeah. Those politicians want to get reelected. They're not going to sacrifice Social Security.
So go ahead.
I was just going to say that is one area there.
Yeah.
The other thing that I would say is you have got to believe that your business is your engine to fuel your financial independence. You can't spend everything that you make. You can't reinvest everything that you make. You have to build wealth for yourself as a result of the business that you have. If not, what you really have is a hard work job that you probably spend 12 hours a day working at. Worry about when you go home at night. You bought yourself a job as opposed to buying yourself something that can create independence for you. You have that ability when you have a small business.
Well, I painted a little bit of a dire situation there for my dad, but the optimistic side of that is he did, even though it was late, he did start contributing to an IRA. And although he started late, it did make a difference in his retirement. He is retired today, and it added a couple of $1,000s a month in retirement income. So I would say even if this couple is 55, or even if there's a business owner out there listening to us right now, I would suggest some balance here. If you are reinvesting everything in the business, stop. Begin or go back to a retirement plan. And we've laid out the possible easy setups for retirement plans, whether it's simple IRA, whether it's SEP IRA, whether it's a solo 401k. Find the one that's right for your business and get going on it, or get back to it if you had one and stopped, because you could add thousands to your retirement income by getting going today, and even doing it over the next 10 years can make an impact.
Scott, let's talk about mindset for just a second of a small business owner. I am one. My partner and I have worked together for 20 years, and we feel for our employees every day what they're going through in their life and all of that type of thing. That is part of being a good business owner. You take care of your people who are taking care of your business. Now, that being said, I think that the whole adage of the stewardess on the airplane comes into play here. Put your mask on first, then help the person next to you. You are the one that took the risk of starting that small business and taking on all of the responsibility, and continue to take on risk and responsibility for that. That risk and responsibility has got to be rewarded. You've got to pay yourself first, even if you subscribe to the philosophy that leaders eat last. Leaders need to be around so the business can thrive and can continue and go on. You've got to be in a situation where, Scott, you said it, balance is the key here. You've got to be balanced in this, or you're going to have everything out of whack, and you're not going to have the life that you've tried to craft by owning a business. As I said, you're going to have a very high-pressure job that you bought yourself.
We've got a little more than 2 minutes left in the show. You're going to hear the bell that indicates it's time for final thoughts here in about 15 seconds or so. I want to give you an opportunity, because we were talking about before the show, there is a little bit of a change in location coming for the Bryant office of GenWealth Financial Advisors.
We are very, very close to being able to move into a brand new building on Bryant Parkway. It is one exit toward Little Rock away from our current office. So if you take the Bryant Parkway exit and then you turn, I would believe that would be north on Bryant Parkway, go over to Highway 5, and just past the Highway 5 and Bryant Parkway intersection, there is the brand new location of GenWealth. We're going to be there beginning to take appointments on the 16th of September. And Scott, it is probably one of the most fun things that I've ever done in my life is watch that building go up and see it ready for furniture, and furniture's arriving in the next day or so. We are so excited to be in that particular location. I've always believed, since I've lived in Bryant, I've always believed that that location was the future of that little community, that bedroom community to Little Rock, and we cannot be more excited than to be there on the 16th of September.
Yeah, it's going to allow us to do some things that really in our current space we weren't able to. I know you've designed it in a certain way for that.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got great meeting facilities. We've got great ability to take care of our clients, great ability for our pods, our advisor groups to work together in sort of almost a secluded type environment where they can actually get down to work on your plan. So we have designed this thing with you in mind. It is a great facility, very easy access off of I-30 in Bryant, and we are working on a brand new office in Conway as well.
Oh, stay tuned for details on that.
Absolutely.
My final thought is a reminder one more time about our Built to Endure Business Owners Summit. We've been talking about it all morning on the show. We had a special guest. We've answered questions from business owners. Don't miss your opportunity to find out more at the Business Owners Summit Saturday, October 4th at the Delta Hotel in Little Rock, featuring keynote speaker and former Arkansas Razorback football head coach Houston Nutt. You can register by going to getreadyforthefuture.com/endure. And that is all the time we have for this week's Get Ready for the Future show. Thanks as always for being with us. Thanks for sending in the questions. And if you've got one for us that could be on the air next week, all you have to do is take this number down, 501-381-5228. Send it via text or leave us a voicemail and you could hear your question next week.
The GenWealth financial team is available to you 24/7 at info@getreadyforthefuture.com or call our offices at 866-653-PLAN. That's 866-653-7526. You should personally consult a financial advisor before making any investment, and no strategy can assure success. Securities offered through LPL Financial. Member FINRA SIPC. Investment advice offered through Independent Advisor Alliance. Independent Advisor Alliance and GenWealth Financial Advisors are separate entities from LPL Financial.